All right. So, all right. So this one is interesting. I'm wondering if I should go. Actually, I'm gonna go in another direction. I'm gonna do a screen share real quick because I want to do some quick hits on some things, and I'm gonna just touch them real quick. So we exit out of that one. We covered that one. All right. So we exit out of that one. Don't exit out of that one. All right. That one, we're not ready to do that one yet. All right. So I thought so since we on the train of Google, I thought this would be pretty cool to catch this one. This is a pretty short one. I don't know what it is about the ex Google, but I read through it and I was like, this one's pretty cool. I'll share with the folks and share what the practical takeaways are. Because I share similar opinions around this too. So ex Google recruiters, two best tips for writing an effective resume. All it needs to focus on is your impact. Let's just go right into it. Okay. When it comes to your resume, there are practices you'll want to weed out. Don't write run on sentences under your job titles. Don't write general task oriented phrases that don't give a sense of what you achieved in the role. Don't include a line stating what role you're applying for. I ain't mad at that. None of these will help impress upon a recruiter why you're right for the job and why they should move ahead with your candidacy. But there are phrases you'll want to include that could help you catch a hiring manager's attention. All right, so here's what an ex-Google recruiter is talking about, and I give my commentary. So all it needs to, and first let me take a preface. So when it comes to resumes, everybody got an opinion, so it's subjective. However, so let's just say I'm giving commentary based on this one person's opinion, and then we'll go from there. If it resonates, cool. If it doesn't, all right. The number one rule, church will rely to job seekers to focus on how they've improved the business. All it needs to focus on is your impact, he says about your resume. Thinking clear and specific accomplishments that outline that. Some industries make that easier than others. For example, marketing has core metrics, he says, and it typically boils down to leads, opportunities, impressions on the website. It lends itself to qualifying your impact by saying, I helped double impressions on the website. For example, think about the metrics that measure success in your role and feature those. I'm a huge proponent of that. And so, like, think about it. If you don't have an individual metric, then you need to have a team metric, he says. It gives an example from his own work in management saying he'd write, my team improved candidate experience by X amount of points. And make sure to include your best accomplishments at the top. The first sentence needs to be the most impactful thing that you did, I did. All right, so he getting into some nuances here. You're not allowed to use more than one keyword in a sentence. Basically what he talking about here, he called it out as like, just don't put something where it just sounds fancy. Like you done put some like fancy job description. You done copied and pasted a job description, and he said, and it ultimately sounds like nonsense or word salad. That's funny. You want your resume to reflect your ability to communicate clearly and concisely. So for each impact statement you make, include the most important word. He says, as a rule of thumb, adding that you're not allowed to use more than one keyword in a sentence. For example, if we're talking about machine learning as a skill you excelled in on the job, he says you will need to say machine learning and AI and LLM all in one sentence. Choose the one that will pack the most punch in describing your accomplishment. So that's just a quick hit when it comes to the feedback of resume, what are your thoughts on that one?
I think it's definitely an art form in terms of I think yeah, definitely resume and applications is kind of like an art form where it's not exactly like a science where I kind of look at it the same way I look at college admissions. There's a mix of both. There's a mix of you have to have the test scores and the GPA and all that. You have to have the the numbers, but you also have to be able to weave a story with those numbers. You have to be able to turn what's on that paper into a real life human that's in the room with the admissions officer, or in this case, with the recruiter or the hiring manager who's reading the application or that's in the interview with you. And so I think this is a great article to be able to have a recruiter's perspective. That's a valuable perspective. And so I like the idea of going to get help with your resume, because I feel like we can get stubborn and just try to go about it with traditional tools that we would use, like that we would use like with a normal essay. But this isn't that. Like, especially your resume. This is, it's not about. I mean, yes, it's important to not have, bad grammar. That's obvious. But there's just so many things that the normal person might not factor in. Like, if you say an applicant, I worked at a company that sold applicant tracking systems, and I still can't tell you what it is. So these type of things, like, it's so complex. So it's good that this recruiter let us behind the wall a little bit.
Yeah, you know, and for full transparency, that's the profession that I'm in, and I just happen to have a passion for finances, and so I intersect both, and that's how I can add value to folks. I'm pretty good at finances, and I'm happen to be good at on the recruiting side as well. So I do both, but I just like to focus on the money side. And so anytime we're talking about careers, it's to help you gain clarity or some understanding so you can know how to play the game and you can decide how you want to play that game. But it's all in the spirit of we got to generate more income. So whatever that looks like. So when I'm bringing different skill sets to you, level careers, all those things is to help you excel at your career to make as much money as you possibly can, based on the careers that you're in that resonate most with you. And then we can actually do something. We could take that money and build our net worth $1 at a time by, for example, the previous article that I shared with how who happened to work for Google as well. It's funny that they both ex-Googlers. So one got laid off, the other one may have quit. I don't know what's going on with them, but
Right.
but the way we weaving it together and telling the story is got to get your resume right. Talk about the impact that you've done to generate more income, so you could put it in the index funds, and you just keep repeating that process over a long extended period of time. And so the example that you saw earlier was how it was masterfully executed. And so that's how those two stories intertwine. And that way we're making it tangible and real for you as well.